Attacks on first responders are rising, and lawmakers in Lansing are reacting. See the effort being made to increase punishment on those who target police. Plus, a 40-year-old cold case that spans 3 states. We'll show you how a Cadillac woman is helping shine a new light on the investigation. And the Winter Olympics are just days away, and this year's ski team has a tie to the Mid-State. Meet Ryan Shorter and see how he got a start on the slopes of northern Michigan.
This is 7 and 4 News at 6.
Well, some Michigan lawmakers trying to pass stronger penalties against people who commit crimes against our police officers and first responders. Our political reporter Nick Minock joins us now live from the state capitol. Nick, when did the House pass this legislation?
Hey, Mark, good evening. We're live in Lansing. The State House ushered through this legislation last week, passed it not along party lines. Some Democrats, some Republicans supported this bill package, but we are speaking with some groups tonight who say this legislation may have some unintended consequences, especially for communities of color. Before coming to Lansing, Jeff York was a firefighter. Now, as a lawmaker, he wants to protect the people he served with.
People are frustrated with society, they're frustrated with government, and they're using our firefighters, police officers, and paramedics as targets to communicate their frustration with government.
His bill package would slap on an additional 2-year penalty for people who target police officers and firefighters. York says the extra jail time is needed because he's hearing that off-duty officers are getting harassed on social media.
People they arrested are messaging them and saying, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get your family. The laws don't necessarily apply because they're off duty.
But Democrat Joel Jones voted against York's bill. Jones is a police officer, and he doesn't think adding felony charges is necessary to keeping officers safe.
And I don't see that as being, much of a concern.
I think that our legislature really needs to put the community first.
The ACLU of Michigan is opposed to York's bill, too.
All of the research shows that typically, when we have enhanced sentences, they're used in low-income communities and communities of color to basically get a plea deal out of somebody.
Kimberly Budden and Jones agree. Republicans are trying to pass this legislation to get police officers and firefighters back on their side after their push to reform first responder benefits.
Some of my colleagues are using, our folk that we send out there every day to risk their lives as like political pawns.
You think it's a good bill, a bad bill?
I think it's really bad policy, and it's pretty short-sighted.
All right, back here live in Lansing, we are waiting for the state Senate to take action on this legislation. Live in Lansing, Nick Minock, 7 and 4 News.
Authorities say a Wexford County family helped break open a 40-year-old murder cold case. In 1978, the bodies of 2 people were found just miles apart in 2 different states, but remained unidentified until 2017. 7 and 4's Mara Thompson has been working on this story all day. She joins us now live in the studio. Mara, what'd you find out?
Kristen, more advanced DNA testing technology is what allowed investigators to rerun fingerprints from the cold case and got a hit from the Michigan Department of Corrections. The remains of James Hendricks of Flint and his girlfriend Kimberlyn Mills of Tuscola County were found just miles apart. Hendricks in Missouri and Mills in Arkansas. But it wasn't until a couple days ago when police were able to talk to the family and find out that it was his girlfriend that was the DNA they found.
If you step back and look at the bigger picture, there's other cases like this out there that maybe law enforcement is even unaware of. So both Hendricks and Mills were not officially reported as missing people in our state, which that was a problem. And that's one of the reasons I think that we did not identify them for almost 40 years.
The pair was never reported missing because they were thought to have fled the state to escape Hendricks' parole. Michigan State Police say they believe Hendricks and Mills were killed by the same person. Reporting live in the studio, Mara Thompson, 7 and 4 News.
Thanks, Mara. Coming up tonight on 7 and 4 News at 11, hear from Hendricks' sister with her thoughts on the case's recent developments.
Family, friends, and community members are invited to roll up a sleeve, donate blood in memory of Drake Hendershot. The 17-year-old passed away in 2014, 6 days after being hurt in a car accident. His mother says if it weren't for numerous blood transfusions, they may not have had those extra days with their son. Now there's going to be a blood drive in honor of Drake at Glen Lake High School. It's happening Monday, February 12th from 12:30 to 6:30. If you can't make it on Monday, you can find other upcoming blood drives on redcrossblood.org.
New at 6, a 76-year-old man called police after finding a stranger in his house rummaging through his medications. It happened in broad daylight last week on Geronimo Road in Alpena County. Troopers arrived on scene and found Donald Tovey in the house yelling incoherently. Tovey was arrested and is now charged with first-degree home invasion.
In Charlevoix County, a home's badly damaged after a possible kitchen fire. It all happened around 9:30 this morning on Gannett Road in Norwood Township. A passerby saw smoke coming from the house, called 911. Nobody was home at the time of the fire, except a few pets, which were told they all got out safely. Crews say there's a lot of smoke damage inside, but little structural damage. Right now, it's believed the fire started in the kitchen.
New at 6, a small group of women handed out some very large gifts today in hopes of providing comfort to those in need. Just 15 women make up the group called Stitches of Kindness, and over the course of a year came together to make 122 handmade quilts and blankets. Today, those blankets were handed out to Grand Traverse County first responders and hospice workers. They will then be able to give the blankets to adults and children who've been involved in traumatic situations and hopefully provide some much needed warmth and love.
Both by the side of the road and in an accident, if their house is burned, we'll give them a quilt as they stand there in the cold and in the shock, with a quilt that'll create a new memory of a loving, caring community that reaches out to them.
Stitches of Kindness has been around for about 7 years and takes place at the Samaritas Senior Living Center of Traverse City. Alicio says it's hard to keep up with demand, so they're always looking for more volunteers to come and help. If you're interested, you can find more information on our website, upnorthlive.com.
Well, if you like high school sports and could use a fun side gig, the Michigan High School Athletic Association wants to hear from you. Right now, there is a lack of sports officials all across Michigan. The MHSAA says the stronger economy discourages potential officials from taking the job. At its peak, the MHSAA had about 13,000 officials over the past few years. That number has dropped by 2,500. Making matters worse, we're told many of the current officials are nearing retirement age. The MHSAA says the search for new officials has not been easy.
People have schedules or they don't want to do it or they're afraid of doing it.
Parents and fans getting on them, deter them. Coaches getting on them, deter them. They do it for a year or two and decide it's not worth it.
For now, MHSAA is trying to recruit more referees on college campuses. Now, if you're interested in becoming an official, contact the local athletic director or the MHSAA. They will train you at no cost. Officials can make anywhere from $35 for refereeing a middle school game up to $70 for a high school game. Northern Michigan hospitals looking to fill several positions. On Thursday, Munson Medical Center is holding a job fair at the Michigan Works in Traverse City. It's happening from 2 to 5 p.m. Open positions include full-time and part-time nurse assistants, housekeeping staff, and food service workers. Pay starts at $13 an hour and includes benefits if you're interested. We do have a link to an online application on our website, upnorthlive.com.
A new program is nearing the end of its trial run, but Grand Traverse County commissioners will soon decide if it stays on the road. The Commission on Aging Senior Transit, or COAST, is a bus service offered by the Commission on Aging in conjunction with Beta. It provides free door-to-door service to help seniors get around the county. The 90-day pilot period ends on the 12th, but organizers are hoping to extend the program and possibly make it permanent. During the trial run, the Coast Bus has provided 481 rides to 81 different seniors.
They can't get to destinations, but they're able to, walk and function like that for many different reasons that they can't drive. Or sometimes we've had seniors that just simply with the weather the way it is, they don't want to drive. So they're making medical appointments, they're going to the movie theater. It's pretty much anything. They can go shopping.
County commissioners will be discussing the program and could make a decision on whether or not to keep it during their meeting on Wednesday.
First, the Ford Mustang GT Fastback that starred in the 1968 blockbuster Bullitt was put on display at Hagerty Insurance. Now, the owner's in town. The car's been with Sean Kiernan's family for 44 years after his father bought it off a classified ad back in 1974. He says his parents drove it every day for 6 years, eventually letting him in on the secret. The family always planned to reveal the car, but Sean says life kind of got in the way, which is why it's taken so long. His dad has since passed and says while this has been an overwhelming process, it's also been extremely gratifying.
When I eventually revealed to the world I felt like Dad was right there with me, and I kind of felt like he's been there with me since day one, since the reveal. Honestly, that's how it's so easy for me to talk about, and why it is gratifying is because it's just me and Dad. That's what it feels like.
Sean says his goal is to now show the car off to as many people as he can and hopefully do a tour, but you can see the Bullet Mustang at Hagerty until February 14th. Remember, you can find the latest news, sports, and weather on our website, upnorthlive.com.
Coming up, this year's Winter Olympics has a tie to Northern Michigan. Find out which athlete this Northern Michigan coach is traveling for and how they're making history next.
No break in the cold until next week. Next week, temperatures climb a little bit. I'll show you in a few minutes.
I'm Jada Johnson with Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
A Petoskey native is getting the chance to help make history at this year's Winter Olympic Games.
Yeah, Ryan Shorter leaves for Pyeongchang, South Korea tomorrow. 7 and 4's Connor Hansen spoke with the Olympic ski coach today. He joins us live now from our Petoskey Bureau. Connor, who is Coach Shorter going for?
Mark, Kristen Shorter will be coaching alpine skier Jeffrey Webb, who will be making history by being one of the first Malaysian athletes to compete in a Winter Olympic Games. 19-year-old Washington State-based skier Jeffrey Webb was born while his parents were visiting family in Malaysia. Since qualifying, Webb can now ski for Malaysia in this year's Winter Olympic Games. This is the first year any Malaysians will compete. His coach is Petoskey High School grad Ryan Shorter, who talked to us over video chat from Washington.
It's exciting. You know, it's really cool to watch him, you know, be able to do this and hopefully inspire more people from Malaysia to strive for the Winter Games.
Shorter started skiing at the age of 3 at places like Nubs Knob and Harbor Springs, racing for Petoskey High School. Since then, he's moved on to some bigger hills and international competitions.
Growing up skiing at Nubs and having that hometown hill and just, I don't know, Petoskey's all about ski racing. It's a little different than most places. Growing up in that culture was a big part of it.
Ryan lives in Washington now, but his family has been in the Petoskey area for 6 generations and owns the popular Grandpa Shorter store downtown.
We've marked off the opening ceremony. We're going to sit there and watch and hopefully see him at some point. And yeah, we're very excited. Very proud that he's going to the Olympics. Lifelong dream. I think he and I, as kids, always wanted to ski in the Olympics, but it's exciting that he's going to be a coach there.
Ryan first started coaching kids while he was in high school. He didn't expect it to eventually take him to the Olympic Games.
It's not something I thought about when I was, you know, running a club. You're focused on developing athletes and getting them to the national team, and then the national team coaches take them to the Olympics, so it's a little different.
Jeffrey Webb will be competing in the giant slalom on February 17th and the regular slalom on February 24th. Reporting live from our Petoskey Bureau, Connor Hansen, 7 and 4 News.
Very cool. Thanks, Connor. You can watch the Olympics right here on TV 7 and 4. And for Olympic coverage anytime, go to our website, upnorthlive.com, and click on the Olympics under the Sports tab.
All right, Mark, whenever the Winter Olympics roll around, there's always talk about, is the weather going to cooperate? They're so weather dependent. It has to be cold. It has to be snowy. So looking forward to Pyeongchang, what's the weather there like now or next couple of days?
I think it looks pretty good.
Okay.
Now, down in the village, it's been in the 30s and 40s, but up in the mountains, it's been much colder. And I think it looks pretty good as far as I can tell. The opening ceremony, they're saying it's going to be a little chilly, but it is an evening, Friday evening locally. And it is at a lower elevation down where the stadium is.
Okay.
But still, you know, it's going to be 15 to 20 degrees Friday evening for the opening ceremony. A few flurries, and I think all in all, things look pretty good. The weather seems to be cooperating from what I can tell again. I think they probably want even more snow in the mountains as always, but still they've had an opportunity to make some if they need to up in the mountain, up the higher elevations in South Korea. For us back at home, lows tonight 2 below to 14 above. Light snow, except for south of US 10, might be a little heavier there, hour by hour tomorrow. You can see how chilly it's going to be for us. And like the past several days, a little sun at times, but lots of clouds and cold temperatures. It'll average 18 degrees around northern Michigan at 2 o'clock. And for several hours, it'll average about 18 degrees. High temperatures will be from 15 to 22. And again, mostly snow showers that are, I would call light. Most of them tomorrow will be in the lower peninsula. On Thursday, again, some sun through the clouds and some widely scattered light snow. Friday, again, I think it's going to be just scattered light snow showers. I don't see any significant snow on the radar heading toward us, but some will come near us. This large area of snow is going to cut across a map like this. The northern edge of that snow will get up to as far north as Highway 10. So from around 10 southward, there is some significant snow to talk about, 2, 3, 4 inches possible around Ludington southward tonight, tomorrow. But other than that, we don't have a lot of snow in the forecast for our part of the state. However, again, there's a large area of snow here if you're traveling long distance, southern part of the state, and this is up around Highway 10 southward, over toward Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. It's going to be a rough commute tomorrow morning, so if you're traveling long distance, you're going to have to deal with that. That's not the only one either. Again, on Friday, I have to wait for it, but here, south of us, that's a lot of snow falling from Des Moines to Chicago, possibly as far south as Indianapolis, then over toward Toledo and Cleveland. That's midday Friday, so 2 stormy areas, snowstorms will move across the middle part of the country, but most of it south of us. Again, the northern edge of the one coming through tonight will clip us a little bit, so beware of any new snow from Highway 10 southward. There's Ludington, there's Baldwin, and that's the only advisory we have just in those few counties down to the south, and that's for tonight and tomorrow. Overnight tonight, you can see how cold it'll be. A wind is going to be 5, 10, maybe 15 miles per hour, so not a high wind, but any wind will drive the wind chill below 0 tonight. Daytime highs tomorrow, teens and 20s, another colder than normal day. Normally, we would see highs this time of the year, 25, 26, 7, 8, maybe even 30 degrees. But we're going to be colder than normal for the next several days and nights, all the way into early next week. Starts to climb a little bit Sunday and Monday. Next Tuesday, many of the daytime highs will be into the 30s, which would be nice to see. That's above normal. Still some light in the sky off toward the west. I know that Kristen just talks about this a whole bunch because she wants the days to get a little longer. Yeah. A month ago, we had 9 hours of daylight. Today, almost 10. And a month from now, we'll be up to 11 and a half.
Summer's right around the corner.
You know
like
what
tomorrow, you know?
That's true. What I should say, instead of hours of daylight, I should say hours of potential daylight because we've had a lot of clouds lately. Now, at the moment, it's beautiful outside, and we do have a break in the cloud layer. But potentially, you've got about 10 hours of daylight tomorrow, so hopefully you get a little bit of daylight. It's been so cloudy lately.
Right, we haven't seen that much.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. Cold everywhere until next week. Well, even then it's going to be cold, but it'll warm up a little bit next week, okay?
All right. Thanks, Mark.
To get up to the minute weather forecast for all across North Michigan, download our Up North Live mobile app. It is free. Comes a live look at the radar. Search Up North Live in your app store and you can download it right now.
Coming up in sports tonight, new high school basketball rankings are out today, but we already know of some changes likely taking place this time next week. We'll run down this week's list, plus the big impact Blake Griffin is having in the Detroit Pistons uniform.
Tonight, drama and excitement at Cape Canaveral, a rocket launch like one we've never seen before. Where it's going and what it means for the future of space travel. Also preparing for the worst, we're with security forces training to protect the Olympics on NBC Nightly News.